I'm going to take these yellowed vintage nightstands and matching dresser and show you a wood wax finish and a paint wash finish that can help you modernize the look of really any furniture you have kicking around, especially the lighter wood types like oak. Along the way, I encounter a few challenges like missing veneer, drawer bottoms that are cracked, and an old stain that's stuck in the grain of the woods. But hey, it's nothing we can't fix, so join me as I redo this 1950s white oak bedroom set. Huh. I've never seen that. The drawer guide here is actually nailed into just the fiberboard that's at the back. It looks like somebody goofed here and made the wrong hole and then filled it and put it in the right spot. Because it's only on this door, not the other door. I always like to clean up the bottom of the pieces I refinish by just doing a light sanding. I don't go crazy, I just use 150 and just clean up all the debris and stuff left over from years of use. You'll see me over the next little while use a combination of sanding and scraping to remove all the finish off both the nightstands and the dresser. I flip back and forth until all the finish is removed. I started using 120 on the really tough parts, and then I moved on to 150 and a final sand of 180. It's at this point here that I realized that it would be a whole lot easier to sand the bottom part here if I could get the whole leg assembly off. So that's what I'm doing right here. I switched to my Surf Prep sander with an attached foam sanding pad to help sand the bullnose edge of the nightstand, which is a solid piece of oak. Okay, at the end of day one, I had sanded the nightstand completely, which was great, but not so great is all the flecks of stain left in the very grainy oak. So that meant I had to come back next morning and use some acetone in a bristle brush to scrub every inch of the piece. And I had to do this for the dresser as well. This added a whole lot of extra work. The corner piece that you see here was missing from the other side, so I took a piece of wood that I had lying around in the shop and just cut it on my chop saw and reinforced that side as well. Nailed it in with a nail gun. After I did some filling with the epoxy putty and some wood filler, I sanded everything to 180 in preparation for applying the finish coat. My main aim with this piece was to eliminate that yellowish color that vintage oak often takes on. I had a lot of interest in the last blonde oak piece of furniture I refinished. I'll put a link in the description for that video. So I decided to do something similar but use a wood wax finish on the nightstands. I'm trying something a little bit different here. I'm using Osmo Wood Wax Finish in the color 311, which is a white. I've got a sample board of some oak here before I actually try it on the oak nightstands just to see what it looks like. I've never used it before, but decided to give it a go. It needs a lot of stirring, which I've already done. Ooh, that's really white. Okay. It says to put it on sparingly. Now, some of you watching may be thinking, why in the heck am I applying a whitewash after removing all the white flecks of stain with acetone earlier? Well, the leftover white flecks in the oak grain was very unevenly distributed and it looked extremely patchy. But by applying the white wood wax evenly on the entire surface, the white in the grain looked more intentional. At this point, everything was going smoothly. This is what it looks like before anything's been put on it, and this is what it looks like after the wood wax finishes on it. I haven't buffed it yet though, so it will get a little bit lighter than this. I'm not loving the way the wood wax finish has finished this. The wood wax finish, I like the way the body looks on this. The color is really nice. I like the way, you know, the white wax is in the grain structure and it gives it a light look. It's just on the front of the drawer and the door, it just looks weird, and the colors don't match the rest of it. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to tone down the door. I could live with the door if the drawer and the door were the same. The door is just too white. For whatever reason, it just went on way lighter than, it took the wood wax way lighter than the rest of the piece. So I'm going to try to add a stain on top of it, just trying to take down the whiteness of it a notch and see if that helps. It doesn't look terrible, but my preference would be if it all looked the same, but the veneer on the door and the drawer is just not the same as the rest of the little nightstand, and it's not staining the same. It's not taking the finish. So this is what I'm ending up with. I'll come back to it and decide. Now, the dresser has its own set of problems. A really failing finish on the top, but nothing that I think scraping and sanding won't fix. There are a few issues with veneer missing and a few gouges, but again, I think they should be fairly easy to fix. The one thing that I didn't count on was the amount of time I had to spend on the drawers. All the drawers had this separation in the back you can see, and so I had to remove all the bottoms of the drawers and fix all those, and that took a long time. I repeated the process of scraping and sanding all the drawers and removing the white flecks with acetone and fixing and gluing all the bottoms of all 6 drawers. Now I've started to repair some of the missing pieces of veneer, especially on the corner of the drawers. And all I'm essentially doing is taking some oak veneer that I had and just cutting it over the shape of what I want it to replace. And I'm cutting through both the new layer and the old layer. That way they match exactly. And then what I do is I remove the old layer and I just iron on the new patch. At the back of the dresser, there was a pretty nasty gouge, and I used Timbermate wood filler to fill the void. After it's filled, I sand it smooth, give it a bit of spray of sealer, and then I use my blend all sticks just to color match as close as I can to the wood. Because I'm not loving the white wax look on the nightstands, I decided to give the dresser a paint wash instead. At this point, I don't even care if the dresser matches the nightstands. I can easily sell them separately. I use a paint wash with Fusion Mineral Paint in the color Algonquin, and I dilute it quite heavily with water. I just want a hint of color to remove that yellow look. This is with the paint wash on the right here, and I like the look of that, and this is with the raw wood, no paint wash. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the rest of the drawers now. I'm using Osmo Pollux hard wax oil as a finish coat on top of the Fusion mineral paint. And the reason I'm using this particular one, it's the number 3051, it's called Raw. It doesn't add an ambering effect at all to what's underneath it. And I'm really trying to keep the look of this more of a cool tone. I don't want to introduce any warming tones to it. You've probably forgotten about the nightstands at this point, but I haven't, and I decide I don't like the look of the stain on the doors. So I start from square one and I sand them back to raw wood. I like the look of the paint wash, so I apply that to the doors and the drawers and finish off the nightstands with Osmo hard wax oil in the raw color. I just couldn't bring myself to resand the entire nightstand, so I left them as is. Now, this refinish is a perfect example of things not going according to plan, and in the end, they don't match perfectly, but I do think they complement each other. Let me know what you think in the comments and what you would have done differently. And I'm also curious to find out, would you sell all 3 pieces as a bedroom set, or would you sell them separately? And as always, thank you so much for tuning in and watching my videos. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It's free to you, and it really helps me reach a wider audience. Enjoy the reveal, and I will catch you next time. Bye.